and welcome back to Thomas's Moustache. Well, by popular request, we're back for another video. Of course, I would like to have made some more videos for you more recently, but I have been quite busy. But I thought that this would be a good opportunity to catch up. Before we begin though, how about I put some pomade in? Today I'm going to be using this Gatsby dressing pomade. This is more of the blue goo that I've used before. I believe this is not my first one, of course, but I am finishing it up. So it comes as a blue gel, and it does go in colorless though once you mix it in. I've already wetted my hair. It goes in much better if you wet your hair. Let's see what we can work with here. This would be better actually right here. Okay, that should do the trick. Okay, and for the mustache, we are going to be using Maharaja. Mustache wax from Captain Fawcett. I usually use this one on special occasions because, well, it is quite a pleasant smell that many people do enjoy. So, usually I'll have a more gentle flavor on a regular day. Well, not gentle flavor, but a more subtle scent, I suppose we could say. Okay, that's perfect. Now I do apologize about the sound. I recall in a previous video I had a viewer tell me that the best way to reduce the echo is to fill the room full of stuff. And since then I have actually filled the room full of boxes and what have you, so hopefully the sound is a little better. Now you may notice that I am perspiring because it is very hot. I haven't filmed a video in a while. Generally, it seems like with last summer as well, I didn't film very much at all in the summer because it is so stinking hot. But right now my indoor thermometer is saying it's 36 degrees Celsius. And it gets up to about 42 these days. But as I said, in the winter, it was an abnormally warm winter, so unfortunately this summer is quite warm. I'm looking forward to the coming winter because I'm expecting things to go back to normal, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Hopefully this sort of weather is not going to be too regular because it is quite difficult to gather the energy to do things. So it's been a fair time. Since the last video I shaved my head, and this is it grown back just enough to put pomade in again. I usually regret cutting my hair immediately because it just takes so long for it to regrow. So I've been regrowing it for a while, I think since March, April, May, June, July. So about 4 or 5 months, I think. It's been a while, but it is at a good length. In that time, I went on a couple of trips. I went to England, and I went to the Peak District, and I stayed at a place called Castleton. And it was quite a nice area. I did a fair amount of hiking. I pretty much hiked everywhere that I could within a day around the area. And I did see a lot of exotic and interesting landscapes. It was good to see some people choose to ride their bikes through there, which was quite impressive because it's not an easy terrain to ride. There are many steep hills and difficult roads to navigate, and of course English roads are rather narrow, so it's difficult for vehicles and bicycles to share the area. As well, I did do another trip not too long ago, very recent in fact. I went for a hike in some mountains, and I was searching for some exotic wildlife to document, and I saw some very special butterflies. If you want to see the most impressive butterflies, I think that you do have to travel, and I happen to be a great enthusiast of butterfly watching. I love the insect. It is probably one of my favorite creatures in the world. I find them just absolutely beautiful. So I did go on a rather intense hike just the last week, and unfortunately it was a bit too hot to wear the pomade, but in the mountains it's a little bit cooler. So I saw some butterflies that I've never seen before, of course with my own eyes, and documented a fair number of them. If you're interested, I could actually tell you some of the ones that I saw. So I have a list of some butterflies that I saw. If you're not interested, you might want to skip this part of the video. Let's see here. I saw some mapwings, some jesters, many from the blue family, some tigers, some crows. Let's see, Mormons. I saw a few Mormons, big butterflies, blue bottles, sailors, albatross, lemon migrant, great orange tip, palm flies. Let's see here, sergeants. A real beautiful one, the orange staff sergeant. Let's see here. What else did I see? Oak leaf, that's a nice one. Ringlets. Let's see here, straighted ringlet, that's one. Yes, those are some impressive butterflies, if I do say so myself. I like to keep track of all the butterflies I see. Of course, there were some moths as well, and some very exotic spiders that I would not want them on me, but I did walk through a lot of spider webs. They can be sometimes a bit difficult to see, so I probably walked through about 50, and then I ducked under maybe 100. So sometimes if you go slow you can see them, but if not, unfortunately, you're going to get webbed. Other than that, though, it was a pretty good trip, but I'm glad to be back. It was hot and sweaty and humid. So, other news, of course, I finished my second collection pretty much entirely. Poetry collection, I mean. My first collection is being sent around. I'm trying to get some interest in it, which in this day and age is incredibly difficult. Poetry is a hard genre to get into because many publishers don't take any poetry, and the ones that do take poetry are looking for certain things, you could say, certain subject matter, like many things, you know. It's the same in, I believe, the movie industry, TV industry. There's the big idea that everybody wants to emulate. So it's like that for poetry. My poetry, it doesn't tick all the boxes, you could say. So it might be not as enthusiastically considered because, I mean, it's a business, right? Publishers need to make money, so if something's making money, then everybody wants that idea. Everybody wants that type of thing. So it's slow going. And other than that, though, one, of course, thing that has happened recently that I'm very interested in is WrestleMania 40. Now, I'm a wrestling fan, of course. I probably said that in the past. And I really enjoyed it. I watched it growing up as a kid. I watched wrestling, and we never got the pay-per-views. Unfortunately, it's money, right? So growing up, I watched the stuff on the TV, but I didn't get to see the special event. So this was the first time I actually got to watch a WrestleMania, full WrestleMania event. And it was amazing. It was spectacular. I, of course, paid, and it's good value, don't get me wrong, especially if you've not watched any of the pay-per-views, because you have access to all of the wrestling WWE pay-per-view lineup. You get to watch it all. So you get to see every single WrestleMania. And so I had it for a month, of course, and I pre-watched a bunch. I watched the first bunch, and then I watched the last bunch. And, you know, this definitely was a huge event. I thought that it was one of the best I've seen out of the ones I've seen. Of course, the first 3 WrestleManias were absolutely brilliant. I don't think that they could be topped, especially the first WrestleMania, where it was, you know, just match after match after match. There was no sort of ceremony. It was just one match to the next match. And then by the time you get to WrestleMania 3, you've got the pre-match, what would you call it? where they meet up pre-match and they're doing their bits, you know, like in boxing, where they're just threatening each other and pointing at each other and doing nose-to-nose stuff. What would you call that? Getting amped up and what have you. So they did that sort of pre-match showcase. Of course, I like that in the modern WrestleMania, before each match, they give you a sort of background. In case you don't watch the regular events and you just watch the sort of pay-per-views, then they fill you in on the feuds, they fill you in on the rivalries. So although the most recent WrestleMania had fewer matches, the matches are longer, and there's a lot more background they give you, which is good for a guy like me who doesn't watch too often these days. I don't watch any wrestling, WWE, because I don't have TV channels. I just have internet. So I don't get to watch any of that. But nevertheless, it was an amazing show. I got out of watching wrestling in the early 2000s, and I got back into it in the last 4 years. I've been getting back into it. I watch it on YouTube, you know, whenever WWE or what have you puts some little matches online or some clips. So I've been able to follow along with the story. I think the last 4 years they've really done a very good job with the stories, because that's one of the reasons I stopped watching to begin with, was I wasn't really enjoying the stories in that middle time. But during COVID, I think that they really brought it back, and it was great. So that's essentially the last 4 months recapped. Did a bunch of trips, watched WrestleMania 40, cut my hair, and it's super stinking hot now. Another thing, of course, I got a new bicycle, a road bike. I haven't ridden a bicycle in 8 years. Yeah. I rode a bicycle back in, well, 2016, 2017, I rode a bike to work every day. And because I didn't have a license. But then when I got a license, I stopped riding completely. It wasn't even my bicycle to begin with, it was a loaner. So, no loss there, but I missed it. So, you know, as you've probably seen if you've seen all my videos, I've moved house, I think 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years. So now that I've moved, I think it's a good opportunity to get myself a bicycle, a proper one. So I chose a road bike. It's a giant Contend 1, I believe. Rim brake. I got a more affordable model. But it really is sweet, because when I was a kid, I used to ride my mountain bike to school. You know, that was also a Giant's. I don't remember what one, but it served me for many, many years. I think I got it when I was, I don't even know, maybe 12, and I rode it until I was 18. So it got the job done, but by the end it was getting very old because I used it every single day, and I didn't just use it, I also abused it. I took it and pushed it to its limits. I would say I was the master of that bicycle, but I haven't really ridden since then. So after that it was, I don't know how many years later, and then I rode the bike for the 1 year, and now I got a road bike. So I just thought it'd be a nice change. I want to ride for exercise, I want to ride for speed, and I think that road bikes are a great way to get into it. And endurance, of course, I want to go far. The mountain bike was great, but I think it had its trade-offs. So one of these days I'll probably do a first impression of that. I think that you can give a first impression after 1,000 kilometers of riding. So I think I'm still within the window, the acceptable window of giving a first impression for a bicycle. But that really is all for now. It's good to catch up. Of course, I have some very faithful subscribers in the comment section, keeping the channel energized and youthful. Because, of course, I know I'm a bit lazy. I've got lots of excuses not to make videos, but my subscribers really are alive, and I'm very thankful for you. So we're going to be doing another video, and I'm going to film it right after this. So I don't have many days to film these days, so I'm going to do more filming today. So until next time, I'll say toodaloo.